Hi everybody, Truth to a T here. I am walking 5 miles a day, 5 days a week, in an effort to maintain and increase weight loss. So while I do that, I like to make these little videos. I hope you're enjoying them. If you are, please like and subscribe to my simple little channel here, and please comment. I'm not saying I'm an expert in anything, so I'm here to learn and just to share my insights into what I believe is going on in the world. Now today, you know, I'm not political in any way, shape, or form. I'm actually a registered independent, but I'm very tired of both parties and the just incredible amount of lies that everybody is being told on a daily basis. It's not stopping, doesn't appear to be. It's not going away. And I just think it's about time that people started to wake up and realize this. You know, the title of this video is "You're Broke, Stop Voting." And I really mean that. We are all living in this addiction to consumerism being perpetrated by a system that's basically lying to us, telling us everything is great, telling us you should have this, you should have that, you should have more. More is going to make you better. More is going to make you stronger. More is going to make you look smarter. More is going to help your neighbor. Well, it's all lies. And we have, when we go through periods like right now, where people are experiencing having less and not being able to keep up with their bills and not being able to keep up with everything they own and their stuff, and everybody is feeling like they need more stuff. It's kind of crazy to me. And what happens is, when things are bad, they blame the other guy. If you ask a Republican how things are going, they'll tell you terrible. That's because the other guy's in power. If you ask the guy in power how things are going, he's going to tell you it's great. And then after you have the election, they just flip that. Now, it's probably not a good idea for me to ever mention their names or even the party names, because they're all lying to you. And I honestly don't think I will vote for anybody. Nothing changes. If you notice, in your lifetime, nothing has changed. You're paying more taxes than you ever have before. You have less access to essential needs than you've ever had before. They tell you about our great economy and how the great jobs we have, but then all of a sudden people get to close to retirement age and they realize, wow, God, I've worked all my life. Do I have enough money? No. What am I going to do about healthcare? I don't have enough healthcare. Yes. And nobody's coming to help you. Nobody's going to be there to bail you out. You're on your own. And one of the reasons you're in that position is because of the big lie that you need all these things in your life. You need a nicer car, you need a bigger house, you need designer clothing, you need to go out to dinner. You've got to go out to dinner. If you don't go out to dinner, you look like a fool. There's no way that you can get the same amount of entertainment at home with your family unless you go out to some fancy restaurant. And I'm not even talking about a simple restaurant. I'm talking about fancy. You know, the 3-star hotel is not good enough. You've got to have the 5-star hotel. When you go on vacation, oh my God, you can't go on vacation in America. That's boring. You got to go to some other country. This is why I embrace minimalism. I get more joy by being out in nature, doing simple things, cooking my own food, and just generally enjoying life. And the reason I'm enjoying life now is because I bought into all that crap. I bought into the fact that, well, if I vote for this guy, my business is going to be better. It's going to be better because of this. It's going to be better because of that. Every one of those people lied to me. Half of them ended up going to jail, which is quite hilarious. And the game continues. And you continue to buy into it. I remember when I was a bartender, waiter, it was great. I'm surrounded by all these people who were doing the same. And then I opened my first bar, and all of a sudden I had some friends who also owned bars. And then I had one friend who owned 3 bars. Then I had another friend who owned 10 bars. And then I got to be friends with people that own big chains of restaurants and bars and big, huge construction companies. And all the time, I always felt like I needed more. Like, I need more. I got to have more restaurants. I'm not successful. I don't have that guy's success or that girl's success. I need so much more. What am I doing? I'm such a loser. And something interesting happened to me. I had actually opened a restaurant in Mexico, and which was one of my not so smart investments. I actually, the restaurant didn't do good, but I did buy a piece of property down there, which I sold later on, and I called that a break even because the profit I made on the property I bought offset the loss on the restaurant. So it was a net even, which it's actually not something to be proud of, but I am quite proud of it because it's one thing to break even, but it sucks to lose. But anyway, I got wrapped up in that whole thing. But while I was down there, I met a man who I knew years previously when I lived in Arizona. I used to sell advertising for Yellow Pages. Now I'm aging myself. You let your fingers do the walking. But I met a man there, and he used to be my account. He had one of those big boat dealerships, jet skis, off-road vehicles. He was huge. He was one of the biggest companies there in Parker, Arizona. And I remember he had this big, giant mansion up on the hill. If you were driving down into Parker, you had the Colorado River on your right-hand side, and you would look up on top of this, looked like a mountain. It was a mountain, basically. And he had this big, giant mansion up there. Anyway, I met him in Mexico years later, and he was living in a what they call a casita. It was this tiny little home in a little community, and it was, at that time, it was off-grid. They had solar back then, and you had to have your water shipped in, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, he was living there, and I remember having a conversation. I'm like, what did you do with the house? He said, oh, I sold it all. And he made a great statement. And he said, when I was young, he said, I grew up in California, and I remember moving out of my parents' house, and I had this tiny apartment. It was like a little studio apartment. And I was like, man, I need something bigger than this. This is ridiculous. I can't live like this. I don't have any room for my stuff. And then he said, I got a bigger apartment and I needed more stuff. And then I got a bigger apartment and then I needed more stuff because I didn't have enough room in that apartment for my stuff. So I had to get my stuff somewhere else so I would have enough room for my stuff. And then, and then I bought my first house and I wasn't big enough and blah, 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 blah. And then at the end of the story, which, you know, he talked about in great detail, he goes, one day I looked around and at 60 years old, I'm like, what in the hell do I need all this stuff for? I have wasted my entire life accumulating stuff. So he sold all his stuff, gave half of it away. And at the time I met him, he was living the best life that he had ever lived in his entire life. So listen, you're on your own. I've said this before in other videos. You're on your own. The government don't care about you. Politicians don't care about you. Society doesn't care about you. Walmart doesn't care about you. Jeff Bezos doesn't care about you. The best freedom and the most power you will ever have in your life is if you become self-sufficient as much as possible. And I don't mean self-sufficient as in, you don't even have to get as extreme as growing your own food and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm not saying that's not a bad idea. It's a great idea. But for God's sakes, get independent from banks, get independent from payments, get independent from interest, and stop believing politicians. I'm telling you right now, I really feel very strongly about this don't vote thing, because we do it every 4 years. We vote for one guy or the other guy or girl, and your life doesn't change. Your life doesn't get any better. You still don't have health care. You have a fledgling healthcare system. You have a fledgling education system. If you're a senior citizen in America, you better have money, because if you don't have money, you are SOL. So listen, I really don't believe, unless some genius comes along, or unless the current people who are running get honest with people, I don't believe I'll be voting. And I don't believe anybody should vote. I think the best message we could send to politicians is not to vote. And I feel the same way in local elections. I've been involved in it for years, and I'm done with it. I don't care who the senator is. I don't care who the congressman is. I really don't care, because they have destroyed this country and they're destroying other countries. And the media are in bed with them, aiding in that destruction. So listen, stop buying crap. Stop getting car payments. Stop living in a house that you can't afford because you want to keep up with the neighbors. Because guess what? Just like the video says, you're broke. Stop being broke. You're being lied to. Stop voting. Send a real message out to the world. Now, I know I sound angry in this video. I don't like to be angry, but I'm just tired of people being brainwashed. Because guess what? I'm old enough to have smartened up, and I hope I help people smarten up before they waste money on crap like I did, and car payments and too much house, too much business, trying to have 10 restaurants instead of one restaurant, trying to have the nice clothes. Stop doing that to yourselves. Anyway, it's very important, most of all, that you love yourself first. And living a life like that is a big part of loving yourself. And once you love yourself and you feel confident and comfortable and you're doing okay, then it's very important that all throughout this entire journey that you love others. The other thing is, when you're secure, you can share. Sharing is very important. But don't share with people who are not trying to help themselves. That's a waste. Share with people who are trying to better themselves. Anyway, God bless you. Love yourself first, and then love others. Have a great day.